There is no bigger red pill than watching a speedrunner pull apart your favorite game and realizing how little you actually know about it. Watching the world record run for Pikmin 1 on the GameCube was such an eye-opening, delightful, and terrifying experience, not just because of the sheer amount of skips and shortcuts and just general gameplay mastery on display, but it was also the realization that, hey, I could do some of this stuff. Now, I am not a speedrunner by any means, but a lot of the tricks and skips in Pikmin 1 are things that I think any player of any skill level could do. And I'm going to prove that using this log, this box, and this wall, which are all water-based obstacles in the first big area of the game, Forest of Hope. Now, normally you would have to backtrack to this level after getting blue Pikmin, which can survive underwater, but why waste an entire day backtracking when you can get the same job done using just the red and yellow Pikmin you have on hand, as long as you're willing to take some risks. Because as you're about to see in this first example, reaching this log is going to involve doing something that any veteran Pikmin player is going to find deeply uncomfortable: running full speed into the water with Pikmin that cannot swim. But technically, they can swim for just a little bit as they flail around struggling for air, and thankfully they can hear the sound of your whistle over the sound of their own screaming. So yeah, they can hold their breath just long enough to follow you to the other shore. Oh, and you have to do this twice, by the way. And the second time, you should probably actually throw them into the water to kind of give them a head start. And then you just kind of give them a couple whistles as you walk by, then just plant yourself on that ledge, and they should make it. Most of the time. Now, if you're still with me, don't worry, this next trick is way simpler, way less stressful. In fact, some people might have figured this trick out on their own playthrough. I certainly didn't, so I'm gonna share it here. But essentially, you can bypass this box by just throwing Pikmin on top of it. And then you just whistle and use the C-stick to push them into position. In fact, the most difficult thing about this whole trick isn't even the box, it's moving your Pikmin across that narrow bridge once the box is out of the way. It should be pretty obvious that all of these tricks will involve some amount of drown risk. So again, I think this was an obstacle designed with blue Pikmin in mind. But if you figured this out on your own, hey, good for you. But I'm going to seriously doubt that anybody figured out this last trick intuitively, because you can destroy this underwater wall by simply throwing yellow Pikmin with bomb rocks in just the right place. This is probably the most technically difficult trick to pull off, just because you do have to throw accurately and you have to do a running throw just to make sure your Pikmin get that extra distance. But it only takes 2 bomb rocks, and as long as you're hugging that right edge, even if you miss a throw, you can recall that Pikmin and try again. And the whole reason you're doing this is just to get Olimar up and around this ledge where you can throw Pikmin up and get early access to this boss room. Which, fun fact, you can skip him as well if you time things right and just kind of slip the piece behind his back, but that's a bit outside the scope of this video. If you want to see me cover the other speedrunning techniques and the other levels, let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to be streaming Pikmin 1 and maybe some of the other Pikmin games, including some very, very bizarre ones that you probably have never heard of. So if you want to see these tricks used in the context of a run, I'm going to be trying to beat my own personal best time, but I am not a professional speedrunner, so things could go wrong very quickly. Just fair warning.